Today I hit the jackpot here. I just happened to be taking some photos of that old schoolhouse. By the way, I didn't go in. I saw the sign.
Yeah.
And this gentleman was coming the other way. Your name, sir?
My name's Charlie Inman.
Charlie, I appreciate you stopping. Thank you. I take these videos and I upload them to a YouTube channel. You okay with that?
Yeah. This is the little town of Burnham, which is over here, which isn't anymore. But there used to be a town there just about a mile away over here. You know, it was a regular town. Had a couple of elevators and stores and things like that. Well, they're not there anymore, of course. But this is the Burnham Schoolhouse. Burnham, B-U-R-N-H-A-M. It was open for business in 1912. In 1934, it burnt down. And so the school district bought this schoolhouse from a school district across the river. There's about 2 miles north of here, Milk River runs across there.
Yeah, I saw that. Yep. It looks like kind of a muddy-ish looking river.
Yeah, the reason they call it the Milk River because it had so much, it was white with alkali and stuff.
Okay.
But now, you know, it runs clear because, you know, there's dams, so, you know, it has a chance for the turbidity to settle out, you know, whatnot. But anyway, this school was bought from a school district that was consolidating or whatever across the river, and it was skidded across the ice in the winter, and it was back in business in the spring of 1935.
Interesting.
Yeah, and we just lived down the road here, the next place down here, half mile. And my dad went to school there, his brother went to school there, his two sisters went to school there. My brother actually went to school there. But when I started school in 1937, or in 1927, it closed up. So when I started school down at Fresno down there a couple of miles. But anyway, it closed up for the last time in 1947.
Interesting.
And it's you know, stood there all these years, and the school district, for the sake of liability and whatnot,
you got a fuel pump running on that?
No, that's my rotating beacon.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
For liability reasons and whatnot, they wanted to tear the schoolhouse down, and I said that's part of our history. I don't want you to do that. So we were able to buy the property and the schoolhouse from them. This is probably 20 years ago or more.
Oh, okay.
And I've flown a flag on it ever since.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you for doing that. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
It really stands out, by the way.
The flag is getting in tough shape. I really got to replace it, but we've been busy at harvest and whatnot.
Yeah. Now they give you a deal on that when you bought it?
Actually, they did.
Oh, good.
Just to eliminate the liability, they gave us a schoolhouse.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And then we had to buy the acre that it sits on. But
now, back then when you were going to school, how many kids would be in a school that size?
I'd say easily a dozen.
Okay.
There's still a fellow. His name's Bill Thackeray, and he was raised across the river, and he went to school here. And he rode his horse to school every day. Forded that river with his with his horse, winter, no matter what the weather was. And I've told Bill, I don't know, I can't imagine letting my kids do that.
Isn't that something?
But when I was younger, it was still there, just west of the school. There was a horse barn there because the kids rode their horses to school, you know.
Okay.
But you know, as time went on, you know, it all kind of fell apart.
Yeah. So you've lived here your whole life?
Mm-hmm. When I was born, we lived down closer to Fresno. It's another. See, along the railroad here, there was a town every 5 miles. When they put in the railroad. Like right down here where those trees are, there's an old railroad reservoir. There was, in each one of these towns, there was a source of water. waterway, they had dams put in, and right down here in Fresno, there's a railroad reservoir because those steam engines needed water.
Yeah, interesting.
So every 5 miles there was a town. Of course, they were pretty much all dried up, you know.
So passenger trains then too, huh?
Oh, sure. Yeah, actually the history, I don't know how it worked, but I think the government sort of subsidized.
Yeah, they do.
The railroad.
They still do that in Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not maybe the railroad, but the bus front lines for sure.
Yeah. Because I don't know when Glacier Park was established, but one of the big deals of the railroad was to haul people from back east up to Glacier Park.
Really?
Oh yeah.
They come all the way across the country to see that.
Oh, to Glacier Park, yeah. Yeah.
Huh. Now, so you farmed your whole life?
Yeah. Well, I've done a lot of things in my life. When I was younger, I worked about every job I could find. I worked as a laborer shoveling dirt behind a trencher, and I worked as a truck driver for several years, and I worked as a diesel mechanic, and I've worked as a machinist. Have you ever heard of a Big Bud tractor?
Yeah.
I was Big Bud's first machinist.
Oh, interesting.
I started work there on tractor number 2, and I stood behind a lathe and made parts for about 4 years. And I've worked as a newspaper pressman, and I've worked in a service station pumping gas. And when my wife and I got married, we got going together in high school, and I was 2 years older than her. And I got out of school, and I just kind of spun my wheels for a couple of years until she got out of school, and we got married. She was 18 and I was 20.
All right.
And as of next Wednesday, we will have been married for 58 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
You ought to write a book.
Oh, yeah, she's not just good, she's the greatest.
You still feel that way?
Oh, you know, we had at harvest time, my son and I, we cut 4,000 acres all by ourselves.
Wow.
The 2 of us. And so we hired a trucker to haul the grain, because he was running the combine and I ran the grain cart. And this one truck driver, he brought his wife along a lot, and I met her this one day, and she says, "We just had our first wedding anniversary." And I said, "Well, congratulations." I said, "Here in a couple of weeks, we'll have our 58th wedding anniversary."
Unbelievable.
And she says, "Really?" And I says, "Yeah, and I love that girl more every day." She says, "Really?"
Yeah, that's what I said. Well, you know, life's kind of changed compared to the days when you got married. You know, it's nice to hear, really refreshing.
Yeah, we got married, and we were young, you know, and she was a farm girl from up north, and we went to town and got jobs, and she worked up the hospital for 63 cents an hour.
Oh, wow. Now, you had children.
Yeah, it was a couple of years. We were married a couple of years before we had kids.
Yeah, how many kids did you end up having?
2.
And how'd they turn out?
Good. Our daughter is head of park recreation in the city of Havre, and our son farms with us. Actually, I work for him.
Okay.
Because we turned the place over to him.
Now, would you consider this area? Are you glad you grew up here and lived here?
I can't imagine a better place to live.
That's how it seems to me, really, huh?
Absolutely.
You weren't bored as a kid, nothing to do, freezing your butt off, going to school? And...
Yeah, you know, and we were in high school in the 50s. There wasn't a greater time in the world to be in high school than in the 50s. You know, it was after the war, and the economy was really good. Everybody had a job. You know, there wasn't any welfare and all this jazz, and everybody had to have a job. And all the kids, you know, I mean, there might have been a few exceptions, but all the kids, if they drove a car, they had a job after school on Saturdays, and they bought their own damn car.
Right.
And that was sort of the values everybody had.
Yeah.
You know, things a lot. Values have changed a lot.
Yeah, they have. They sure have.
You know.
Look how expensive everything is now.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember going with a friend of mine to a used car lot, and he bought himself a I think it was a 47 Chevy for $50.
Oh, wow.
And it had a little problem between him and I. We did a valve job on it.
Now, your first recollection of property values, what would an acre go for out in a place like this? Back then, your earliest memories of value.
I don't know. Well, I'll tell you personally. My wife and I, we got married. We went and rented a little house for $60 a month. The landlady paid the water bill, so we had to pay, you know, the gas and electricity, and we never spent a dime on ourselves. We were both raised with parents that went through the Depression, and that's the kind of values we had. You didn't waste anything.
Yeah.
You didn't throw anything away.
Right.
And so we never spent anything on ourselves. And she's making 63 cents an hour, and I'm driving truck, and I'm making $9 a load hauling out of the big flat up here. And if I didn't have any flat tires, I could make 2 loads a day in 13 hours.
Oh, wow.
So I was making, you know, I was making $18 a day. But we were putting money away. And there's a piece of land came up for sale over here. 200 acres come up for sale over here. And land at the time was selling for about $70 an acre. And they wanted $100 an acre for it, and nobody would buy it. But they wanted $2,000 down, $2,000 a year. We didn't have any machinery or anything, but guess who had $2,000?
Yep.
So that was our first land purchase. We didn't have any machinery or anything. We had the first few years we had to rent it out. But we weren't just making our payments. We were making, you know, additional. You know, we were prepaying on it. Then there's a piece of land come. There's a quarter section came from up here and had been farmed horribly. You know, there's nothing but a big sand pile. And they didn't want a bunch of money for it, but nobody wanted to buy it. So we went down to the bank and we convinced them to put these two things together. And so, and from then on, we just kept. We rented land any place anybody would rent us land, and we bought land anybody was crazy enough to loan us money.
That's how you did it.
Yeah, and then the home farm wasn't very big, and when my parents retired, they rented the place to us. So then we moved out to the farm, and that was in 1969.
Oh, okay.
We moved out to the farm, and then I was working a job in town. In a diesel injection shop, and we rebuilt diesel pumps and injectors and did all kinds of metal fabrication and stuff like that. That was a great job. And then I went to work for Big Bud. When Big Bud got going, they wanted to hire me, and I said, I guess I'll go to work for you. So we worked there. I worked there until I guess in 1975.
Oh, okay.
And then the place was just getting big enough that because I was working a job, getting off at 5 o'clock, at 6 o'clock I'd be sitting on my tractor, and I'd be running until, you know, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and get a couple hours sleep, and I'd be standing by my lathe at 8 o'clock.
Good work ethic.
And you, and in time you just couldn't do it anymore. So
yeah,
I quit working in town in 75.
Okay. Now, do you think a couple similar to you and your wife in today's world now could do what you guys did? Do you think it's just too different, too expensive?
Well, anything can be done. First, you got to find a woman like my wife.
You got lucky.
Yeah.
Now, I'm guessing you're probably a Christian.
Oh, yeah.
In which denomination?
Presbyterian.
Okay. Yep. And it seems to me, just from driving around out west, it's mainly kind of with the farmers, a conservative slant. Am I right with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how would you consider the prices for what you're growing and harvesting now? I mean,
it's terrible.
And why is that?
I don't know.
And what are you going to do about it?
Like my son says, you know, when the price is like wheat now, that should be $6-7 a bushel to really make out. Well, you can't even get $5 a bushel for it. But when the price of your commodities go down, the prices of your inputs go down too. The cost of fertilizer, chemicals, things like that, they go down some too. And a lot of people don't really look at that. And you just gotta make things work.
How do you feel of the way the pricing's determined for agriculture? Is it fair?
We used to belong to this marketing service, and that one guy, his name was Jack Lawson, and I'd call him up, he'd call me up, give me advice on what to do, and he made us a lot of money over the years. But he used to put on these seminars, and he'd stand up there and he says, "Now all you guys, you know what your problem is. Your problem is you're all on LSD. You believe in the on the law of supply and demand." He says that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
The prices are, you know, all pretty much, you know, there's such thing as fundamentals and whatnot, but
yeah.
But your prices are pretty much technical. It's all done by traders, you know.
Gotcha.
Back in Chicago and Kansas City and Minneapolis, you know.
Now, of course, you're familiar with outfits like Cargill.
Oh yeah.
You for them or against them? Are they good, bad?
Well, they're a company, you know.
Yeah.
There used to be some Cargill elevators through here. We used to do business with Cargill. They're not in this area anymore.
Yeah. Speaking of elevators, why are there these old elevators in all these small towns just standing there? What eventually happened?
Well, see that train went by right there?
Yeah.
No, that one's just got a lot of garbage on it. A little bit of everything. But you see all these grain trains go by?
Yeah, I do.
There's, I think, 113 cars or something on them. Well, the railroad makes a deal with these grain companies and say, if you can load a unit train in X number of hours, we'll give you this big freight rate break. So all these little elevators that can only load a tank or a car or two a day or anything, they can't compete, and they all went out of business.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
And it's not a big issue, but certain places in the part of the country, when you have a building like that, whoever owned it is kind of responsible for tearing them down. Now, as a photographer, I think they're interesting. You could argue that they're an eyesore. Why hasn't there been some kind of intervention to get these things dismantled?
Oh, you mean all the grain elevators?
Yeah, the ones that went out of business.
Well,
I mean, they look like hazards, really, for kids and stuff.
Yeah, that I don't know. Most of them are sitting on railroad property.
Okay.
And the owners pay a lease every year. Now, if they're doing that, why don't they tear the damn elevator down and give the lease back to the elevator or to the railroad?
Right.
I don't understand that.
Is the railroad around here then, you know, they're probably welcome with open arms. I'm assuming they're a pretty big employer. Or they've put everybody out of business with the deals they've offered.
Well,
or both.
There's an awful lot of people in the town of Havre that works for the railroad because it's a division point for the railroad, and they got a pretty darn big locomotive shop. They drag you'll see them coming through here, and there'll be one engine dragging half a dozen engines.
I did see that.
And they'll drag them in here
to work on them.
And work on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
How far west does that railroad go, do you know?
Well, this goes all the way to the west coast.
It does. And how about east, do you know?
Yeah. Well, this is the main line between Chicago and Portland.
Okay, I saw it the other day, not when I got up here, but I saw Amtrak going down here.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You see that very much, or kind of infrequently?
Well, Amtrak, you know, goes east every day and goes west every day.
Oh, every day?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, the eastbound goes by about 1 o'clock, and the westbound goes west. I think it's about 3:30, 4 o'clock or so.
Oh, okay. Now, what is it that you're growing? As a farmer now?
Well, this year we had all spring wheat.
And is that just you gambled for the best weather related, or
Well,
how do you decide what to grow, I guess?
Well, last fall, we liked to raise winter wheat, but last fall, we never had a ton of rain, but every time it got about dry enough to go in the field to seed, it rained. So we never got any winter wheat in last fall, so we seeded all spring wheat this year.
Okay, and what do they do with winter wheat?
Make bread out of it.
Make bread out of it. And does
the winter wheat we raise what they call hard red winter wheat, and that's what they make bread flour out of. Now there's soft red winter wheat and I don't know. I think they make cake flour or something. I don't know what it is. And they have winter wheat out on the West Coast, and I don't know what they make out of that. But we're in we're in what they call the Golden Triangle. Golden Triangle is from Havre, Montana, to Great Falls and up to Shelby.
And that's just fertile soil or something?
Well, it's called the Golden Triangle. They supposedly raise the best bread wheat in the world, but
okay,
maybe there's a little.
So you don't really know. Once you sell it, you don't know where it goes. You just know what it's used for.
Generally, the high quality stuff with the good protein and the good quality stuff goes to the millers.
Oh, okay.
And the millers come in the fall and buy what they want. And the lower grade stuff goes to export, goes over to Asia.
Interesting. Now, I noticed in North Dakota as I was cutting across, making my way out to Kalispell, that there must be a big business in hay.
There's a lot of hay being put up.
There is a lot of hay, and it almost looks like, I mean, I don't know the market, but why wouldn't you grow hay instead of the winter wheat? Too much of it? Too competitive? Low prices?
I don't know anything about hay.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can make any money. I would say for the most part, your hay is grown on land that probably you can't probably make more money at it, or where you got irrigation or something like that. I don't know anything about hay.
Okay, well, I don't know anything about farming either, and I hear people sometimes, like where I live, there's a lot of dairy farmers, and you'll talk to someone that obviously doesn't know what they're talking about, and they say, farmers have got it made, they get 0% interest loans, they pay them back when they feel like it.
Where do you do that?
Yeah.
I haven't found one of them yet.
Yeah. And how about, CRP?
Oh, yeah.
Is that done much out here?
Yeah, there has been a lot of that done.
Is that why I see the little areas of water and trees? Is that CRP?
Yeah, you generally see grass.
Seagrass.
I don't believe in that.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
We've had plenty of opportunities to do CRP, and I absolutely don't believe in that.
Okay.
I don't believe in farming the government.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Now, back in the day when I was a kid, I used to read all the time about big pheasant hunting in South and North Dakota. Did it go this far west to Montana or not? Because there's not that much corn.
Well, along the valley, Milk River Valley, there's pheasants all along, but I don't think you really get into big pheasant country until you get down in that Malta area.
Gotcha.
So which is probably 90 miles from here, 100 miles from here.
Gotcha. And in your recollection, is wildlife changed at all, in your opinion? Do you see more birds, less deer, more deer, what?
I would say the bird population is about, we got Hungarian pheasants, and occasionally you'll see, Chinese pheasants.
They're beautiful.
Oh, they're beautiful.
They're up around here, huh?
Oh, yeah.
What'd they do, get loose from somebody's house one day?
Darn fine. They've been here as
But
long
you
as,
have Chinese pheasants up there. Interesting.
They've been around as long as I have.
Huh.
I'm 79 years old.
You look pretty good for 79.
Yeah, well, they just gave me a new knee last...
everybody, if you live long enough, everybody's going to get new knees.
And boy,
you're glad you got it, though.
Did they ever do a good job? I don't even know I got a knee. It's so good. I never even think of it.
Seriously?
Seriously, absolutely.
And how long before the surgery and you were up walking around?
Oh, within hours.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah, they get you up right away.
And how about the weather? Would you say that weather's changed in your life? Or did you go through bouts of...
Used to be at harvest time, which is late July and August, we would have these days or these weeks where, you know, it'd be like 2 weeks in a row, it'd be like 110, 12 degrees every dang day. I don't know if it got over 100 degrees in the last several years.
Oh.
Our weather has really cooled down.
It has.
Yeah. And our seems like our winters start sooner and our springs last longer, or come in later. And I don't know about the global warming thing. I'm not going to, that's a bunch of politics as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, there you go.
My wife and I, this is how it is. My wife and I, we always take a kind of a major trip in the winter. Last fall we didn't go any place this winter because last fall we went to Europe for a couple of weeks. But we've been all over the world. You know, I mean everywhere. Egypt, and Australia, and you know, and all over. And every time I go somewhere, we're down around the coast or something, I'll say, "How much has the ocean risen here?" "Oh, the ocean hasn't risen. You can see the high water mark. Nothing's ever changed." But you listen to the news, and New York's underwater and Florida's underwater. Yeah. BS. We were up to Alaska, and I'm talking to people up there, and I said, "What's the deal with these glaciers that are retreating?" "Oh yeah, glaciers retreat, but some of them advance and some of them stay the same. You only hear about the ones that retreat." Yeah,
you're right.
And we were up to Denali, and we took this trip on a turbine-powered beaver on skis, and we flew up and landed on a snow-covered glacier at the base of Mount McKinley. And so we flew over all the, it's about 100 miles, and we must have saw 1,000, maybe thousands of glaciers, thousands of them.
Okay.
And all you hear about glaciers are all,
yeah,
it's all about politics.
Yeah.
It's politics. I'm sorry, but I've been there, done that.
Yeah, yeah. Now, all the places you've traveled, your favorite?
If I could go back, I'd love to do that Egypt trip again, but maybe not now. We went there in, I think it was '97, and there was times that it was a little spooky, but we had on our bus we had a Land Rover in front of us with 6 soldiers with their AK-47s, and we had a Land Rover behind us with 6 soldiers and their AK-47s. And so we had really good security. And before we got off the bus, you know, they'd all take their positions.
Is that right?
Yeah. But we had, you got used to it after a few days. We were there for a couple of weeks.
Interesting.
But the spookiest part of that is, before we left, we're in Cairo, and the tour had ended, and they'd kind of left us in this open kind of a pizzeria thing, and the bus is supposed to pick us up, take us to the airport. We actually had a couple hours there. So my wife and I, we decided we're just going to walk down the street to Cairo. and we wear shorts and tank tops and things like that, and women aren't supposed to be dressing like that.
Oh, okay.
And we're walking down the street, and you can see people on the other side pointing at us like that. We're probably lucky to make it back.
Yeah, I guess, huh? What's the deal with all these grasshoppers? Is this a seasonal deal?
We haven't had a really bad grasshopper infestation for several years. This year, it's just terrible.
Where are they? Just hatch here? Are they coming from somewhere, or what?
Well, they will migrate, but I think we probably raised these. You know, each grasshopper sticks their little butt in the ground and probably lays, you know, 400 or 500 eggs.
Yeah, I know they're prolific breeders.
And you hit the right weather conditions, so all those little nymphs survive, and you can have I mean, last year we had a few grasshoppers, not a lot of them, but this year it's just a plague.
Other than just being bothersome, is there any downside to them? Do they eat your...
Oh, they'll eat your crop right up.
They will?
Yeah. Actually, our crop was mature enough when they really got to be a problem.
Yeah. That
they really weren't a problem. But like the heads of wheat, the grasshoppers just be hanging on them. They weren't really, I don't know what they're doing there because they weren't eating it, but just hanging on. And the only problem we had, my son kept plugging up the return elevator on his combine with ground up grasshoppers.
I believe it. They're everywhere.
Yeah, and the head of the combine is just a wave of grasshoppers. They were eating up our lawn, and right down to dirt. And my wife come out and almost in tears in our pine trees. She said they're just eating our pine trees up. So she went up to a company up here at Kremlin and bought 5 gallons of 7. And I loaded them up my little sprayer I put behind my 4-wheeler, and I sprayed all around the yard and everything. And it did a really good job. We got a lot of dead grasshoppers in the yard.
Yeah. Now, does anything eat these grasshoppers? Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, I suppose birds will eat it, but it's whatever. It's insignificant.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Because there's millions of grasshoppers and only a few birds.
Right. Now, in your lifetime, what's the lowest temperatures you recall?
The lowest I can ever remember was, I believe, it was 1953, and it was 54 below.
Wow. And how about the most memorable snow?
Well, I think about 3 winters ago we had 93 or 94 inches of snow. It was unbelievable. I was plowing snow out of the yard. I ran out of places to pile snow.
Now, I've seen videos where these trains have that wedge thing on. Does that go on out here?
Uh-huh.
It does.
Well, our railroad grade is high enough that the snow blows off of it. But you see those funny-looking kind of rotary plows on the front of these trains.
Yeah.
But they're clearing the track up in the mountains.
Oh, I see. Not down here.
They must store them someplace farther east, because you'd see them going through.
Speaking of mountains, are actually mountains just to the northwest of here?
Oh, that's Sweetgrass Hills.
Okay. And what's the elevation of that? I can't tell from where I'm at. It's no big deal, is it?
They're about 6,000 feet.
Are they that much?
That
yeah, that one right there.
Right there. That one right there, sort of in the middle, the rounded one there.
Yeah, yeah.
That's called Mount Baldy.
Oh, that's Mount Baldy.
That's Mount Baldy, and it's 5,900, and it's almost 6,000 feet. And if you look on the aviation chart, and I'm a pilot.
Yeah, I got a pilot's license.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
I just got an award from the FAA this spring.
You didn't get the right award, did you?
I did.
No way. Congratulations.
I did.
I just had a buddy of mine retire from Delta with 44,000 hours. And part of his retirement party was you got that, huh?
I did.
Congratulations.
I've been flying for 62 years without a violation.
Wow.
or anything.
You never got caught buzzing any of your friends?
The FAA doesn't know everything, do they? Well, this morning, this morning, we're going to go have breakfast. My wife and I was going to have breakfast. Yeah. And so I was out helping my son move some machinery around, and I come back in. She said, well, where are we going to have breakfast? And I said, well, I got 3 choices. She said, what's those? I said, well, you can take me to town in your Volkswagen. We can go up here to Inverness and have breakfast, or we can get in the 172 and we can fly down to Stanford, which is about 100 miles, and have breakfast. She said, well, let's fly down to Stanford. So we go up the airport, get in the 172, and we fly down to Stanford. The airport's all tore up, runway's all X'd off, and they got a project down there. I doubt if they'll get it done this fall. So, well, everyone's Stanford, and I said, well, we haven't landed at Denton probably for 15 years. We'll go over there to check out Denton. So, the grass strip and whatnot. So we land there and we walk downtown. And they got a restaurant that's open 7 days a week, except on the 6th of September of 2020. Because,
gotcha. Isn't that something?
So it is closed up. So we get back in the airplane, and I said, now where do you want to go? She said, oh, hell, let's just go home.
Well, you got a nice plane ride, though.
Oh, yeah, it gives you an excuse to go flying.
Now, when you're cruising over to a place like that here in this flat, open-ended place, what altitude do you try and stick around? Do you stay low to see better?
Well, I don't fly really low. If I want to do that, I'd be a egg pilot, and I absolutely don't fly that close to the ground. But I like to be a couple thousand feet anyway. Yeah, no,
I'm sure you're one of these guys that soloed in 4 hours in a Piper Cub.
Actually, I soloed in about 7 hours in a Cessna 140.
Okay, close.
I got my private license in a Cessna 140.
Okay.
I never flew anything with a nose wheel until after I had my private license.
It's a lot easier.
I used,
A nose wheel.
oh, well, yeah. I don't know. They say the transition from a tricycle gear to a
Tail
dragger is difficult.
It
I don't
is.
know what's so damn difficult about it, but I learned to fly on a tail dragger.
No ground loops.
Mm.
Good for you. So you've had this 172 how long?
About that, I think in 1993.
And what kind of hours you putting on that a year? 50?
I used to put a couple hundred hours on. I've also got a 1941 Porterfield.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Where do you keep that at?
up there. I got a hangar up there.
Oh, okay.
So I got 2 airplanes, and the 172. And it was born on January 15th of 1962.
Is that a straight tail?
No, it's swept tail.
Okay. It's close though.
Yeah.
The straight tails weren't far off from that.
The first year of the swept tail was 61.
Okay, all right.
Or 60. No, I think it was 60. I think 60 was, anyway, ours is a 62. And it's a true Skyhawk. Everybody calls a 172 a Skyhawk. Not true. The later ones, they were all Skyhawks. But in 1962 is when they came out with the Skyhawk. And the Skyhawk in 62 was a 172. The standard equipment was all the options. I got courtesy lights under the wings, and I mean it's got key start. All those old 300s, you know, had a little lever start.
In good shape?
Yeah.
Now, did you buy that used?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We bought it in, you know, I think maybe it was 91 that we bought that airplane.
What's the longest trip you've taken in it?
Well, you know, my wife's sister lives back in Wisconsin, and we used to fly back there, you know, a couple times a year. When we just don't anymore. And we used to, we could get in that thing at 5:30 in the morning, and at 5:30 in the afternoon, we're sitting in Branson, Missouri.
Yeah, yep.
It's not, I call it our magic carpet.
Yeah, they're a neat airplane. And then they came out with that, what was it, the XP, the 180 horse?
Oh, the XP, I'd love to have an XP.
Yeah, it's a big difference in performance.
Yeah, it's got an old 360 Continental,
Yeah.
fuel injected,
Yep.
variable prop, all that jazz.
Yeah, it's a heck of an airplane.
Yeah.
And you had any 182 time and all?
Oh yeah, I got about 10 hours in that 180.
Okay. I mean, you get there a lot faster. Boy, they come out of the, I could never figure out, I know it's heavier, I get that, but I'll tell you, the difference between a 182 and a 172 when you pull that throttle back is like, wow.
Yeah. You know what the difference in wings on a 172 and a 182?
No.
Same wing.
No way.
Yeah. Just wider fuselage and a lot more horsepower.
It must weigh a lot more too, because I'm telling you,
Oh,
these
yeah.
things come out of the air like a rock. And if you look at the accident statistics, 182 is like way worse. For a long time, the 172 is the safest airplane
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah, I think it very likely, maybe still is. The airplane that should be the safest airplane is the 150 or 152, but it's used so much in students that
The
it's,
accident rate.
But I don't know if you ever flew a 150
I
or
did.
170.
Yeah, I flew the Acrobat too.
I mean, anybody can fly with one of those things. You don't even
can.
have to be a pilot. to fly
You know
one.
what gets people in those? Hitting something taking off on a hot, humid day.
Oh,
I'm sure you get. Is it always dry here,
well.
or do you get some humidity in the summer?
Yeah, well, we'll have a. It hasn't rained for so darn long, we kind of forget what a rain is. But
Yeah.
when the weather pattern changes and it decides to rain, it can rain for a week or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've probably noticed some density altitude
Oh
over
yeah.
the years. Yeah. Yeah, that's a big changer, you know.
Oh yeah, I don't like flying on a hot day.
Hot, humid day.
Yeah.
You know it.
Yeah, humidity messes it up.
The good news you got down here is you don't have that many obstacles. Everything's flat.
Yeah.
You know, it's pure runway. You're not trying to get over a 50-foot tree.
Yeah. When we came back today, I generally come around the mountains because I don't like to fly over water and I don't like to fly over mountains. But I cut between Mount Centennial and through.
Did you really?
Yeah, I come right through there.
Was it bumpy?
Yeah, it is bumpy. I said to my wife, I should have known better because it's only bumpy maybe for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But I don't like flying over mountains, and
No, I don't blame you.
I don't like flying over
That
water.
Sierra Nevada gets a share of planes every year, people trying to cross over the top.
Oh,
You better have some horsepower or a turbocharger.
yeah.
You're lucky.
Yeah, I've set certain rules for myself years and years ago. I don't fly on top. I don't care what flight service tells me. They say it's fine 100 years from now or 100 miles from now. I ain't flying on top.
That's why you're still on the right side of the grass. Well, that was an honor to get that award. Did they come to you, or did somebody turn your name in, or what?
Yeah, well, you have to have 3 active pilots recommended,
Oh, okay.
and then the FAA's got to accept it.
Oh, okay. Good for you. What is it? I think it's a little plaque and something else, isn't it?
Oh, I got a beautiful, I guess it's a plaque.
Yeah.
And then there's another, I guess it's all on a sheet. You put it in a frame and hang it on the wall. But I got a beautiful plaque.
Good for you. Well, this has been super interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think I asked your name at the beginning, didn't I?
Charlie Inman.
Charlie. Okay, Charlie. Thank you. Yeah. Charlie, you made my day. This would be my top interview in a long time, and I wanted to know about the school. You've told me about farming. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You got any questions for me?
I'm not smart enough.
You don't need to be smart to ask me one. Answering them's the hard part, and that's on my end.
So what else do you do besides?
I've been basically I've been doing this for about the last year, but as a private detective my whole life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for like 40 years. I did mainly fraud. There's no money working for the public, so I mainly worked for insurance companies. You know, you get a guy working for you, and he falls off the tractor and says he can't work anymore. Well, my job's to go out and get him bowling. That kind of thing. Somebody's got to do it. I try and get them out of their restrictions, you know, to just see if it's, and that's what I mainly did. I've done every kind of PI case imaginable, but that's where the money was at.
Yeah, I've heard of cases like that where the guy is hobbling around, and they go to court and they settle it in his, you know, and then he'll just throw his crutches away and walk out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, welcome to my world. One thing that just came to mind, I don't know what made me think this when you were saying that. I read from time to time people getting killed in these grain bins. What's going on there? They just, the chute get opened and they don't know they're up there, or
well,
what?
There's certain grains, like the kind of grain we are, like wheat and barley, you can walk on top of it. I mean, you'll sink into your ankles, but that's it. But there's other crops like flax.
Yeah.
You can climb into a truckload of flax, you're going to clear to the floor.
Right away?
Yeah, you're going to clear to the floor, just like
What's it, slippery?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of flat seeds and they're really oily.
Interesting. Yeah.
But what happens, and you don't really have it happen so much in this country, but you know, other grains like maybe soybeans and corn and whatnot, and maybe the grain has been maybe put in the bin, maybe a little with high moisture or something, and it'll get a crust on it, and people will get in the bin. They're trying to take the grain out of the thing with an auger down there at the bottom, and it'll get in the bin to you know, break this crust up or whatever, and the grain is flowing like this, and it'll just take them right down with them.
Oh wow! You think I mean, I read about it a lot.
I don't know why people do that, but I know it happens.
Yeah, and for a while, farming was considered the #1 riskiest occupation. Does that make sense to you?
Oh yeah. Tractors
tipping over.
Yeah. You know, the kind of tractors we have, you know, it'd be pretty hard to tip them over. But.
Yeah. And do you do your own? You said you cut 4,000 acres. Is that your own equipment?
Mm-hmm. One combine. And
aren't these combines like 500 grand or something?
No, they're more like 600 grand.
Are they really? What's the payment on one of those? Like $11,000 a month or something?
Oh no, they're probably about at least $25,000 a year.
Are you a John Deere fan?
Yeah, we can pretty much everything we got is John Deere.
And I've heard before because it's the infrastructure and the service.
Yeah, it's mostly service. The dealer we work with takes care of us like we're their only customer. I mean,
that's what I've heard from everybody I've asked.
Yeah, we have no reason to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
You know, Case International, New Holland, and all them, they make perfectly good equipment, but they'll never get any of our business as long as John Deere takes care of us.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. That's what people have told me. And how about this Kubota and all this Japanese stuff? Do the farmers out here fool with that?
Oh, you know, you see them around. Personally, I'm the kind of guy that I don't buy anything foreign.
There you go.
You know.
Yep. No matter, even if it's cheaper.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And you know, I've never owned a Kubota. A lot of people, you know, say that they're really super high quality. There goes the Empire Builder.
Oh yeah, that's the Empire Builder, huh?
Empire Builder going west.
And where's he going? Seattle or?
Yeah, he goes
All the way to Portland, huh?
Yeah.
You know, you read the stats and the ratings on those Amtrak trains. It's not that fun. They're late. They run out of food. They break down.
Yeah, yeah. And I said, I told you the times they go by.
Yeah, you're right.
If the eastbound Amtrak is on time, it'll go by here 10 minutes to 1. But if they ever go by here at 10 minutes to 1, you got to write it down. Because if they're, you know, an hour and a half late, they're basically on time for them.
No, it is. No, that's nothing.
You ever?
That's nothing.
You remember the Petticoat Junction?
Yeah.
And they talk about, there goes the Cannonball,
Yeah.
3 hours late, right on time.
Yeah.
That's Amtrak.
That's about it. Oh, jeez. Yeah, you're right. Well, Charlie, this has certainly been my pleasure. I thank you, man. You made my day today. This is great.
I'm glad you stopped me.
It was great talking to you. Thank you.
Yeah.